Welcome to Phillip Island, Victoria in Australia. What a setting we have for this great sporting contest, the Little Penguin Sea to Dune race. Nervous moments always as they gather on the beach, the tension mounting, and away they go. There's the defending champion, wearing his familiar navy blue and white, great waddling style. Another pre-race favourite though, losing touch with the pack. Maybe that's why. A few too many fish in the day's feeding. There's a familiar face, Skip McIntyre, 8 times a champion back in the 90s, a very successful coach now, keeping a keen eye on proceedings. This the leading group, 1 or 2 still able to put on a show for the camera, others just ploughing straight over it. Some resorting to shortcuts. Sad that cheating has crept into this beautiful sport. The judges will have a look at that. But up at the front, the pace is relentless, closing in on those sand dunes that will offer a bed for the night. The fatigue starting to tell. Who's got the finishing kick up on the outside? What a turn of pace from that one, whichever one it is. No answer from the rest, and he takes victory. What a win. There we are, into the Burrow, building an extension with his winnings, and back tomorrow to try and defend his title here on Phillip Island.
Hello and welcome everybody to tonight's Penguin live stream. We have got very, very early penguins here tonight, catching us a little bit off guard. I think they know it's my first night doing the stream and they're messing around with me. So tonight we have myself, I'm Ranger Viv, and Megan with us to walk you through the penguins coming home. So before we start, I would like to say Womanjika, which means welcome, and that is in the language of the Bunurong peoples. Now, the Bunurong are the traditional landowners of Phillip Island, which we are on tonight watching our beautiful penguins. I would also like to pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. I might get Megan to jump in really quick and tell us what she's going to be doing tonight.
Thanks, Viv. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to be looking through your comments and questions on Facebook and YouTube. So send through your trickiest questions for Viv and I'll pass some of them through tonight. So first time, so don't be too hard on her, but we can test out what she's made of and have a great night. Thank you.
Alrighty, so does anyone have any idea how many penguins are in this group tonight? Because it is a lot for a big and early start. So hopefully we've got John and Tom counting tonight. So hopefully they'll let us know how many are in this massive, massive first group. So these are our little penguins. They're coming home after a big day or a couple of days of fishing. This time of year, they've been out there for maybe a couple of days to a week if they're breeding a little bit early. Otherwise, they could have been out there for up to 4 or 5 weeks at a time during winter because they've not really got any reason to come home. Oh, look at them run as they get close. All right. So this crossing the beach is the absolute scariest part of their day. They're really, really worried about any predators that might still be hanging around. I'm just going to swing over here for when they pop over this hill. Because being such a small penguin, they are very easily taken by predators. Come on, penguins. Any minute now. Here we go. Look at them climb up this little hill. So they're really worried about being taken by birds of prey across the beach. In the water, being a blue penguin, they camouflage beautifully. On land, we've got all of this beautiful vegetation for them to hide in. And then on the beach, they are so exposed to predation. So that's why they've waited till sunset, because that's when all those big predators go to bed. And that's also why they've come in the big groups. So we've got that safety in numbers to keep them comfortable. Although I don't know why they decided to come in when it was so light today. It's easily 10 minutes earlier than yesterday. Now, I think we might have got a number for that group of penguins, and maybe if you're lucky, Megan will tell you how many came in last night too.
Yes, so Tom just let me know how many there were in that first group, and we've had a lot of great guesses, but nobody has quite guessed as many as there were. There was 370. Wow. And that's according to Tom. He's an optimistic counter, we like to say, but a very, very good first group. And last night we did have 762 penguins in the 50 minutes we counted for. So we've had over 300 in this first group, so I'm going to say it's going to be a better night than last night. That's
safe
my prediction.
To say we'll have more penguins tonight than last night. So make sure you let us know how many you think will come in tonight, so we can let you know tomorrow as well how many we've ended up having. Oh, we've got a goose. We've got a goose.
Goose.
Penguin interactions are my absolute favourite thing because the geese, I mean, it's breeding season, so the goose is a little bit more testy than usual, but I don't know if about you, but I've got a healthy fear of geese if they were coming at me, and the penguins are exactly the same. So we get some really fun interactions, even though Goose is just going about his business and he's just gone away, which is just really rude of him. All right, let's watch the penguins go up the hill now. So we are streaming to you from Phillip Island, and we are Phillip Island Nature Parks, and we are a visitor-funded non-for-profit. So what that means is when we have guests coming to visit us, all the profits from their ticket sales, souvenirs, and any donations go directly towards helping our penguins, but not just our penguins. We've also got, well, of course, the geese and the wallabies, but we look after the koalas. We've got the seals at the knobbies as well. Ooh, let's go to the highway camera. There we go. Look at those gorgeous fellies. And all right. And then we've also got Churchill Island Farm, which is where we started the bandicoots as well. So we look after about 20% of Phillip Island. So I want to thank you guys so much for coming and joining us here tonight. And hopefully it won't be too much longer until we get to see you guys back in person. But if you are wanting to help us out, look at all these penguin bums. If you are wanting to help us out, you can leave us a donation through the Penguin Foundation, or adopt a penguin, or adopt a seal, or a koala. I think we've got lots of different choices through the link there's a link on the video tonight. Do we have any questions, Megan?
Oh, we do. So Tyler wants to know, why are our penguins so small?
Why are our penguins so small? That is a very good question, Tyler. Thank you. So I like to think of it like this. Most penguins you see, they live in the snow. So they've got to be really big and fat to keep warm. It's like they've got their 3 big fat puffer jackets on. Whereas in Australia, although it's winter, it's nowhere near as cold as it gets in those snowy areas. So they don't need to be quite so big to keep themselves as warm. So you'll find that the penguins here and the penguins that live in New Zealand are a lot smaller than the penguins that live in Antarctica. And that is just because they're further up and they're closer to the equator where it's a bit warmer. Good question, Tyler. Thank you. All right. Do we have any more?
Oh, yes.
I'm just going to keep going to Megan with the questions.
Ali would like to know, are there any penguin chicks around at the moment?
Are there any penguin chicks around at the moment? That is great. We haven't had a new update from research just yet, but a couple of weeks ago they said that they had checked about 200 of our artificial burrows, which are the boxes. Actually, let me show you a box. And of that 200, we had 2 sitting on eggs. So I imagine by now we've probably got some chicks. This time of year, these are our boxes. This time of year, the eggs don't always hatch. Quite often the parents finally realise that it's winter and leave their eggs alone to go feed themselves, because they are selfish creatures and they do really want to look after themselves more than anything. And those eggs won't hatch, and they'll often just become a food source for something like ravens or rats instead. But hopefully we'll have some chicks, and then maybe in another couple of weeks we'll start seeing chicks coming out of their burrows to visit us, which would be lovely.
Yeah, if that group is anything to go by, looks like they might be gearing up for breeding.
Yeah, that's right. It's a really good sign. So when we're having bigger numbers through winter, when I first started about 4-5 years ago now, through winter we might only have 100 or 200 penguins cross the beach each night. Now we're having, I think the lowest we had this season was around 400, so that's already twice as many than we were having. So it's really, really good to see. And yeah, last night we had over 700. Before that I think we had 900 a few days ago as well. A really good sign for the early breeding season. All right. Now, these penguins, because they've done their very scary dash across the beach, they're now enjoying a good little rest. So you'll hear different rangers call these different things. I just call them the resting rocks. Some people call it the salon or the preening rocks. But basically they've walked through their front door, they're safe, and now they can have a big rest, take a deep breath. They managed to not get eaten, which is great. And what will probably happen is we'll get another group. Let's see if we've got any coming. And that group will kick them out. Bit like a traffic jam with dominoes. Okay, I don't see... oh, no, there we go. Found you.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. Here we go. Another big raft of penguins have just come in. So you might have seen in the comments a lot of people saying huck, huck. And that is for a very good reason because that's the sound the penguins make in the water. So before they formed these large groups, they were all out chatting around to each other and they were going huck, 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 huck. Very good. Thank you. And that is going, hey guys, come with me. Let's cross the beach together. I really, really don't want to go on my own. And so they all come together on that sound to form these rafts. And so we call it a raft in the water because that's what it looks like when they're swimming through. And so they've formed these rafts for that safety in numbers because I don't know about you, but if I was a big bird of prey and I saw a big blob of animals like that, I probably wouldn't go trying to eat them. I might go and find something else. So that's what they're doing here. And you can see quite easily they're much more visible here than in the water if we have a look up. Now I can't see any, but kind of. Every now and again in the water you can see a shadowy line, and that is the raft of penguins, but you can also see just how difficult it is to see them compared to this very lovely, very visible blob of penguins coming through. Now, blob is not the scientific term. Neither is waddle, but that is what we kindly call them. We call them a waddle of penguins on land, even though that's also not scientific. They don't really have a name. They're really just a group. All right. Now, let's see. Sorry, my camera work isn't fantastic because I'm still learning. And I don't know how close I can get before the camera gets mad at me for trying to look too closely. But you can imagine just how hard it is for Tom to count these penguins. He's a lot further away. He's looking at them from the left-hand side through a pair of binoculars, and these penguins are in rows of 5, and it'll be really hard to see just how many. And he's counting them really quickly. He's probably going 10, 20, 30, 40. Wait, how many was that? As he tries to count them really quickly before they get over here. So it is hard, and we do our best to be as accurate as possible, but we've been counting them this way since 1968. So even though we have the technology to count them a bit better, we don't. We continue to do it hard the way which us rangers love, especially if it's raining. We love counting penguins in the rain because we get to be nice and warm in our little ranger skybox. But basically we're going for consistency. We've been counting them for so long. If we changed the way we counted them, we wouldn't be able to compare the data from today to the data from 40 years ago. And so that's really why we keep doing it the hard way. Now I think Megan's writing down questions. So Megan, what have you got for me?
Oh, okay. I have a few questions.
Yeah.
Firstly, how can you tell a female penguin from a male penguin? That one was from Leanne.
That is a good one. I'm going to go to the highway camera and see if it's even possible to tell from this camera. So if we get a good view on some of these. So we're looking at their beaks. So a male penguin will have a really thick beak and have a bit of a hook on the end, whereas the female's penguin, her beak will be just a little bit more slender and will most likely not have that hook. And when I'm talking about that difference could be less than a millimeter. So when we're looking at them here, it can be really obvious sometimes. So that penguin sitting on the right-hand side looks like a male to me. But they're so fast and they don't stand still, so it's really, really hard to tell. So often our research team will have to get out their little calipers to measure them accurately. Wow, that is a lot of penguins on the rocks. Let's go to the penguins on the rocks to measure it. And I think I always get the number wrong. It's about 13.7 and higher is a male and lower is a female. Did I get the number right?
13.3.
13.3. That was my other guess. So I knew it was going to be not quite right. But yeah, so we've got to visually have a look at. But when we first find them and microchip them, we do measure them properly. So we're not just going from our guesswork, and we just continue to check based on that. That was a really cool question. Thank you. All right. Let's go back to the highway cam as they come past us. The highway cam is my favorite because we get to see all their little faces and see the silly ones who decide to stare at, and they've all just dodged me. There they are. the silly ones who are like, yeah, let's try to look in the glass and see what's happening there. All right, so you can see some really distinctive male penguins based on their huge fat beaks, and a couple of distinctive females as well. Well, I can. You guys might need a little bit more practice. It is a really, really tricky one. But have a look and see if you can tell what we've got. It'd be nice if one of them decided to stop and show off for you, but penguins, they tend to do the opposite of what I ask them to without fail. Oh, look at you. Like I wanted them to come a little bit later so I could do my intro and be nice and relaxed, and they're like, no, I'm coming early. They're just good like that. Oh, there we go. This one's stopping here right in the middle. Looks like, oh, yeah, it looks like a boy. He's got big fat beak, and he's got a little bit of a hook on it. Thank you. Very nice of you to stop there. Oh, and even better, look at that view. Hold on. Yeah, there was no point. I don't know why I tried that.
And Viv, if they're not going to stop for us to look at their beaks, what are a couple more behaviours we can look out for to maybe tell the difference?
That is a good point. So as we go into the breeding season, we can sometimes figure out who's who based on their behaviours. So, oh, look at you. Quite often we will see penguins going backwards. So if they're going towards the water instead of away from this time of year, we can just about guarantee that that's a female penguin who is within a couple of days about to lay some eggs. So she's going to the beach to eat little tiny bits of shell pieces because she's given up some of her own personal calcium to build the shell for those eggs. And so she's going to eat some little shells to get some calcium back for herself. So talk about selfless parenting. They're a bit of both. Sometimes they're really selfish, sometimes they're really selfless. All right. Anything else, Megan? Got any more questions?
Oh, Jay would like to know, what is the scariest local wildlife that you have come across? Or maybe your scariest encounter you've had with some wildlife.
Scariest encounter. Ooh, Jay, asking the hard questions. It doesn't count if it's scary for a lot of people, but I found it really interesting because I'm a weird person who likes snakes. Last year when we all got banned from working at the parade and we were doing deployments, so we spent a lot of time building. We spent a lot of time planting lots of new plants in a lot of different areas. So I was behind the koala center building. That's all right. Planting some eucalypts for the plantation that could become koala food later on. And there was a copperhead in the area, and I don't know, some people think I'm weird because I really like snakes, but I was like so interested, and of course he moved away before I could get in and have a good look and take some photos. But basically we ended up roping off the area and went, okay, so we're not going to plant anything here because well, snakes. But for scary, I don't know about scary.
I think that would be pretty scary for most people.
For most people, yeah.
People might not know that penguins can be a bit scary.
Yeah, I was going to say my real scary is probably trying to get a difficult penguin out of a burrow. So when I used to do penguin study group, we didn't have this very cool high-tech technology that makes Megan and her team lazy, where they just wave the wand over the box and scan their microchip. We had to go in, put our arms all the way in up to our shoulder and pull the penguins out. And penguins didn't like that, funnily enough. And so they screamed at you and they smacked you with their little flippers. They'd do that and you'd get a bruise all on your hand every time. And they would bite a lot. And they somehow knew that your gloves ended at the wrist. And so they would bite you just below where your gloves ended. And sometimes you'd get a very, very upset penguin who really did not want you to be taking them out of their home. Again, totally fair enough. And they would bite a lot, and you'd get blood even through the gloves. And every time you put your hand in, they'd be like at you, and so you'd be like, and as you try to get them out, it takes a bit of courage to try to grab an animal who's screaming at you before you're even close to them. So that's probably the real scariest one there. All right, Megan, do we have any more?
Oh, we certainly do. What is the oldest penguin we've ever had?
Oh, the oldest penguin we have ever had. That is another good one. So, oldest penguin we have recorded was just around 26 years old. So that is definitely above average. Our penguins tend to make it average lifespan of around 7. Researcher Dr. Andre said that a senior penguin would be around 11 years old. So, yeah, 26 is really, really old for a penguin. They did really well. But considering we only microchip and know the ages for a very small part of the population, there's every chance we've had some really, really old penguins that have hit and bypassed that mark as well. But we just don't know it because we only look closely at some of them. All right. So, what do we got? I was trying to see. Here we go. We've got some nice penguins helping preen each other. So, the penguins have got a little oil gland right at the base of their tail, and so they use that oil gland to spread. They spread the oil through their feathers. So that's why they keep scratching their bums with their beak and then moving their beak through their feathers. This is how they're waterproof. So the penguins have got their 2 layers of feathers. So it's like they've got a big fluffy doona on, and then they've got their raincoat over the top. And so that oil keeps the raincoat nice and waterproof, and that's their shiny white and shiny blue feathers that you can see. And so this way is how the penguins can survive our cold waters around here. Basically, for a healthy penguin, the water should never touch their skin. So that is why they're resting so long here and why they are cleaning off their feathers. And they often have to help each other out because their beaks, they can't get the back of their own heads. So they're really good little community and they will help look after each other for the most part. Okay, let's have a look and see if we have got anything happening over here. It'd be good if we could get some breeding behaviours, but I don't think they've really started. Like, not many of the ones near the stream have decided to be nice to us. Let's have a look at these 2 guys. No, they're just sitting here enjoying the view. So these 2 penguins would live right here. So the one next to the box, he probably lives in the box, and the one on the right, that's probably a hole entrance for the burrow right there. And so since the penguins are coming home tonight, they're going to be stuck in their burrows all day tomorrow in lockdown, bored out of their minds. They like to stand outside and just enjoy the world. It's like they're sitting on their porch, having a cup of tea, just watching the world go through. Ooh, highway camera. Quick. There we go. So basically, penguins don't sleep the way most animals sleep, which is one thing I'm extremely jealous of. Penguins, they sleep for 4 minutes at a time. They do that about 10 to 15 times a day. Because if they're, swimming and fishing for 4 weeks at a time, if they had an 8-hour sleep, they're going to get eaten by something. So they have their little power naps and lots of them. So when they are home tomorrow, they don't get to sleep the day away like we would, or like I wish I could. Instead, they are stuck indoors, awake most of the day, bored out of their mind, because they can't come out because of predators. So they're in their own mini lockdown every time they're on land. So that is, that's why when they come home, they don't go into their burrows right away. They go ahead and just enjoy the view. Alright, so we've got more penguins standing guard around their homes. Oh, here we go. Another big raft. It's nice when we've got a low tide because we can get a really good look at what the penguins are doing across the beach. Alright, I'll see. Oop, this is a much easier group to count if anyone feels like they need some penguin counting practice today. Alright.
Viv, a lot of people are wondering, yesterday we were talking about the threatened species plan and some of the animals that are on our wish list to possibly bring back here to Phillip Island, and they want to know what the rest of them are.
Yes, I was a bit mean and didn't give you all the answers yesterday. So here on Phillip Island, we've managed to remove all the foxes. So we've been fox free since 2017, and that's how we've been able to release bandicoots onto the island. And they have been going really fantastic and successfully. They're breeding really well. At this point, we don't know how many are around the parade because we just don't know how far they've gone. So because of that success, we're now working on our next plan, which is we've got a wish list of 5 animals that we've chatted with the community and local landholders and other stakeholders about what they think we should try to reintroduce to the island if we can. And so we've got a list of 5. And the bushstone curlew is the one that we're doing next. So we've got a couple of them who we've just brought onto the island, who will hopefully be released with some more of the next couple of years, maybe. We don't know yet. That's really fingers crossed, but we'll see how that goes. I told you about the growling grass frog, which is on our wish list, but that's way in the future. Megan told you about her favourite long-nosed potteroo. We've got two more. So we have got the king quail and we've got the swamp skink, which is apparently known as a mini Godzilla because of its black and gold markings with its blue tongue and blue mouth. So that is our full 5 animals on our wish list that we really hope to one day bring back. So all of those animals had at some point, yeah, I just realized. Thank you, Megan. See, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Doing great.
All of those animals had at some point lived on the island, but had unfortunately become locally extinct because of foxes or cats or housing developments. And as we work really hard to reduce the threats of predation and bring back their natural environment, we're hoping to bring back the animals too. So that's what I personally am really excited about that. I'm really passionate about any rewilding programs because it's just so exciting to see us being able to actually turn things around. Like, I don't know, I've always been really excited by Phillip Island and how we've managed to protect the penguins by blocking off this whole corner of the island and going, no people here. We can look at them at the parade, but other than that, you've got to leave them alone and let them do their thing. And because of that, the penguins went from around 12,000 or so in the 80s to about 32,000 now, which I think is really just incredible and goes to show what you can do. I mean, we're an island, so we've got the benefit of the fact that we can go, okay, well, we can get rid of foxes and it's really, really hard for them to come back, whereas a lot of places on the mainland can't do that. So we kind of cheated a little bit there.
And Viv, we have 5 minutes left.
5 minutes. All right. Do we have any questions to fill some 5 minutes, or should I just keep rambling?
Oh, look, we have plenty of questions. Aaron was wondering, what time do the penguins go back out in the morning?
What time do the penguins go back out in the morning? Great question, Aaron. So the penguins that came home last night, they will probably go out tomorrow morning, maybe an hour or two before sunrise. But they're not going to come home in the big groups. They're not going to leave in the big groups that we've seen them come home in tonight. They're going to go out in their dribs and drabs. They're in less of a rush. And so that means tonight's penguins will probably go out the day after tomorrow. Again, nice and early before sunrise, under the cover of darkness where they're not likely to encounter any predators. Any more, Megan?
Yeah. How many eggs do penguins lay at a time? And how big are they?
Oh, good. Pardon me. So, penguins are really interesting in the fact they almost always lay 2 eggs at a time. Generally, if they've got only one, we're going to think something's happened to the other one. And if they've got more than one, that perhaps someone's accidentally laid an egg or a chick has wandered into a different burrow by mistake. Because it's so often too that it's really, really unusual for it to be different than that. So we think something else must have happened. As for the size, they are just slightly bigger than your chicken egg. And so that means when the chicks hatch, they're only slightly bigger than your chickens as well. All right. Oh, let's go back to the highway. Sorry, guys. We've got 2 screens here and it's very confusing if you're me and you've not done this before. Here we go. There we go. I was like, they've disappeared on me and I've just turned around. That shouldn't be possible. That's the camera. Can that manage to focus? It really doesn't want to focus. As it gets darker, the camera has a little bit of a harder time auto-focusing on them. All right, Megan?
Oh, you want more questions?
Oh, more questions.
Oh, goodness me. Okay.
Oh, I know. I know what you guys are like. You've got thousands of questions and I'm all for it.
That's true. We've had lots of great questions tonight and we've had quite a few people wondering if the geese have eggs at the moment.
Ooh, that is great. Let's go back to the other camera and, well, I know the goose isn't there, but we can go have a look. Yes, so lucky for us, the geese decide that the best time to breed is the opposite time of the penguins. Are there any penguins coming out that I can look at while we do this? No? Alright, sorry for the motion sickness. Let's go back to our penguins on the rocks here. So the geese are breeding at the moment, so we've got lots of nests and lots of eggs and lots of chicks. And the geese chicks are so ridiculously cute. They I don't know if you've ever seen an emu chick. If you haven't, Google it. They're adorable. But the geese chicks are very similar. So they're these tiny, little, fluffy, grey and white, stripy things. And as much as they're the cutest chick in the world, they also have one of the ugliest teenage phases that I've seen in birds. When they're fully grown, they've got some baby feathers and some adult feathers, and they just look truly ridiculous. They're so funny. And the geese, unlike the penguins, actually do mate for life. So whenever you're around and if you see two geese together, they've been together forever. So if you see a group of, maybe 5 to 7 geese, that's probably 2 parents and a bunch of babies with them. Because they look after their babies for a long time, so you can barely tell the difference between who's the teenagers and who's not, just by the fact that they've got a slightly more chick-like voice and honk to them compared to the adults, and they're often just a small bit smaller as well.
Viv, people have been loving your penguin noises. Can you demonstrate the goose noises?
Oh, that's mean. That's really mean. Actually,
you can say no.
No, I'll do it. I spent a lot of lockdown doing the comments on Facebook, so I know a lot about what you guys like. And so when I kept in the comments trying to encourage other people to make funny noises, I'm like, oh, I wonder if I could do a goose noise. And it seemed to come out okay. But now I've got all this pressure and I haven't done it in a while, so I'm not convinced. But it's like a... Yeah. Yeah, they've got their multiple ones.
Very good. I'm impressed.
Thank you. That was mean.
You're welcome.
Workplace bullying, anybody? No. Alright, there's no penguins on the highway. Let's have a look at these ones for a minute. Alright, Megan, what sort of impression should we get you doing?
I'm not in the hot seat tonight, Viv.
Oh, I don't know.
What other penguin noises do we know? I'll do them with you.
Oh, that's harsh. Penguins don't make any other noises. What are you talking about? No, penguins, they make something like 12 different sounds, and almost all of them sound exactly the same. Like, they have a really aggressive noise. I wish we had sound. And everyone's like, are they mad? It's like, no, when they're mad, they sound extra mad. It's really confusing to describe. But basically, they make this really fun trilly noise. Now, you've got to come in. If they have to see my face doing it, they have to see your face doing it. So they go...
Pretty good, Viv.
Oh, okay. Is that all I get for that? All right.
No, very good for your first time. And I know I've also had angry penguins hiss at me.
Oh, I've never heard a penguin hiss.
Yeah, a bit of a...
Oh, I've just been bullied and hit and bitten by penguins. I've never been hissed at. Are they penguins? Come, here we go. Oh, can you do it, camera? Oh, I think I'm expecting too much here. That's a shame. So, especially in winter, we get the majority of the penguins come in the first 20 minutes to half an hour each night, which means we don't get as many of those really big groups coming in that we really want to see. So I'm going to have to go back to the other spot. Let's have a look. Maybe those penguins are still hanging out up by their boxes. What should we go looking for, Megan? Sorry, I'm not actually asking. Megan's like, what?
I'm reading the comments. I don't.
Oh, here we go. We've got a wallaby. Perfect. Megan's so used to being in this seat, she's actually doesn't know. No, I'm kidding. She doesn't.
No, I'm enjoying this. I get to ask you all the difficult questions.
Yeah, I like to tease and ask really hard questions, so I guess it's only fair that I get paid back. This is one of our gorgeous swamp wallabies, just enjoying a bit of a midnight snack before he heads off. So the wallabies are always very kind to us and being nice and active right before penguin arrival. Which means that people, when people are able to come visit us, they get to watch the wallabies play and be gorgeous right before the penguins come in. So there's always lots to see here. Let's go back to the highway. Always lots to see here, not just the penguins. It's a shame I haven't seen a bandicoot on the stream recently, which is such a shame because almost every night since we came back after the first big lockdown last year, we've seen a bandicoot. Like, I've not worked a shift outside where I've not seen a bandicoot. So it's really rude of them to decide to hide from you guys. Here we go, look at these two. All right. Megan, any more questions?
Yeah, well, we're pretty much out of time. Do you want one more question?
One more question, please.
Okay. How many penguins can we find in a burrow?
Oh, how many questions can we...
We can get a lot of questions.
Maybe
in
we
a burrow.
should stop. No. So generally we'll have the adult pair, so the male and female, and then if they've got chicks, we'll have the 2 chicks as well. But sometimes we'll have more than that. Sometimes we'll get a little bit of a daycare happening where we'll get too many chicks in one burrow. When chicks are about between, I guess, 4 and 6 weeks of age, they start to leave their burrow and go have a look around and beg people for food. And sometimes that means they forget which home is theirs. So they just go into this home with these other chicks, and then when the parents come home to feed their own chicks, they promptly kick out the wrong babies and go home. I'm not dealing with you. I'm not feeding you. What's the most you've seen in a burrow with all your work with research?
Chicks, maybe 5.
5! That's amazing.
We call it crashing.
Yeah, crashing.
It's pretty cute.
Yeah.
But then you've got to try and figure out which chicks actually belong there.
Glad that's not my job.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how you try to work that out. Do you smell them and go, this is definitely burrow A?
Oh, well, and if they are a young one in a research burrow that gets checked regularly, they might have a little bit of food dye on them so that we can tell the chicks apart. So if there's some food dye, we might be like, okay, you're one of ours. But apart from that, maybe see which ones look like similar ages to the food dye one, but otherwise, I don't know how you're going to tell.
Alrighty, guys. Well, I think Megan's going to tell me off if I keep going. Megan wants to go home. So thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Come on in, Megan. We're going to have to do our signature huck off now. So, all right. Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.